Last class, we started discussing about algorithms. An algorithm is a step-by-step procedure for solving a computational problem. Today, we are going to see three more example algorithms. The first algorithm that we are going to see today is to find the largest of n natural numbers. So we have to read n natural numbers and then need to find which is the largest natural number among the n natural numbers given to us. We are going to discuss an algorithm which is going to find the largest on the fly, meaning without storing all the n natural numbers in the memory at the same time. For that, we need to use two symbols. One is max, which is to hold the largest number that we are going to find, and value is another symbol which can be used to read the numbers one at a time. Because we are going to find the largest of n natural numbers, it is safe to initialize the required maximum as 0, because any natural number is greater than or equal to 0. So this is a safe initialization for the required maximum. So after this, what we can do systematically is read the first number into the simple value. So you read the first simple and the current maximum is 0. After that, what you do? You check whether the newly read value is greater than the present maximum. So present is 0. Suppose you read 10 as the first number. Then 10 is greater than 0, so you have to reassign max as the new value, which is 10. And now you do this for all the remaining n minus 1 numbers. So you read the next number into value. Again, you check whether the value is greater than maximum. Now, suppose the present maximum is 10 and you are reading 35. Then 35 is greater than 10. So you have to assign the new value to maximum. Only when this condition is evaluated as true. Likewise, you proceed and you read the last number. Again, you check whether the last number already is greater than the existing maximum. If so, you update the maximum, and thus you can find the largest of n numbers using this systematic procedure. Now we can try to write this as an algorithm. The first step is start. After that, we need to read the number of numbers first. So capital N is the number of numbers that you have to read. And if you remember, the initialization that we decided is to initialize the max as 0. Then if you remember, we have to repeatedly perform reading and comparison. Repeatedly perform until the remaining number of numbers becomes 0. So to start with, the number of numbers remaining is n. So until it becomes 0, you have to repeat. Compare the values in n and 0. 0 is the constant. So after you read one number, you can decrement n. So this will work. So this means you are comparing the remaining number of numbers to be processed with a 0. If they are equal, that means all the numbers are processed. So you can go to a later step where you can print the maximum value. Later you can see that. That is, if you finish reading the numbers, you will jump to statement 8. Otherwise means there are more numbers to be read. You read the next number and store it in the simple value. This is what we discussed. After that, what we wanted to do is compare the newly read value and max. And if the number in value, the newly read number is greater, then copy the newly read number into max. This is what we decided. So now we just finished processing a value which is taken from the user. So after that, what we have to do is you decrement the remaining number of numbers to be processed. Originally it was n, now it is becoming n minus 1, and you have to repeat from the step 4. Read the next number, compare, then repeat the same. So finally, you will come to this equation where the remaining number of numbers to be processed become 0. They are becoming equal, and hence you are coming to step number 8, where you can display the number that you found in max as your solution. So that's the algorithm. I hope you are getting me. Now we need to discuss about a data object, which is a finite sequence of elements. We just have seen an algorithm which finds the largest of n numbers, and the algorithm is not storing the given set of numbers in memory at the same time. It's only reading one number at a time, storing it in a simple value or a variable, then it processes it, and then it reads the next number to the same variable. But some algorithms, like the sorting algorithms that we will learn later, require to store a sequence of elements in the memory at the same time. So we need a data object which allows you to hold a sequence of elements, and that is what is called a sequence. Let S be a finite sequence. Sequence means an ordered set of elements. Now, for example, you consider a sequence of numbers. S is the sequence, and this example sequence is of length 5, and the numbers are 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Let S square bracket I, read it as S at I, where the index I varies from 0 to length of the sequence minus 1. That is why less than length of S. Be the expression representing the ith value in the sequence. For example, S at 2 gives you the value 30, the sequence at index 2, and the index varies from 0 to 4, where 4 is the length of the sequence minus 1. Length of the sequence here is 5, and this is minus 1, and that is why the index is varying from 0 to length of S minus 1, and that's why we are writing it as less than, strictly less than length of S. So this is how you can represent a sequence. You can have a finite length sequence where the values can be accessed as S at index I, where I varies from 0 to length minus 1. Now with the sequence object, we can try to develop an algorithm to read a sequence of n numbers and store it in a sequence. So we need to have a sequence of length n. So the indices are in this set, it varies from, index varies from 0 to n minus 1. So we have to read n numbers and store it in these positions. How can you do it? Maybe we can initialize the index as 0. To start with, you can read the first number into index 0. And maybe if you want, you can copy the number of numbers into a temporary variable. And so now we are going to monitor the progress of the values in these two variables, intex and temp. Temp is actually n, and you need not have to go for temp, but if you want to know how many numbers you read later, you have to remember the original value of n, and that is why you need to copy it into temp. So initialize the index to 0, and you have the number of numbers as n, and that is also available as temp. So what you do first, read the first number, suppose it is 10, and store it at index 0. So the first index is filled. After that, what you should do? You increment the index so that you can store the next value at that index. Now remember that you already have read the first number. So the remaining number of numbers to be read needs to be decremented by 1. So that is the next operation, decrement temp. And now the index is pointing to the next position. You read the next number, okay, and after that you do these two operations, increment index and decrement temp, and you do it repeatedly, and finally you will get into this situation where the index is now n minus 2 and the remaining number of numbers to be read is 2. So you read the next number. After that you increment index and decrement temp. The remaining number of numbers to be read is 1. So you read the last number, you are getting it. Again you increment and decrement. So now the index is coming to n, but the remaining number of numbers to be processed is 0. So you can stop now. So this is a particular procedure. Now we can try to write this as an algorithm. And in the algorithm, we may not be using temp. You can directly decrement n. First step is start. After that, we have to read the number of elements in the sequence. So store it in n. Then if you remember, the initialization was setting the index as 0. We are not utilizing temp. That is why we are not copying n into temp. And after that, you know that you have to repeatedly read until the remaining number of numbers becomes 0. So originally it is n. So if they are equal, if n is 0, then you don't have to read any more number. So you can stop, and that is why you are jumping into step 8. Otherwise, if you are coming to step 5, means n is not 0. That is, you have to read the number, next number in the sequence and store it in the sequence at index. Now the index is 0. So you read the first number, stored it at index. If you recall, what we did after this was increment and decrement. Increment the index and decrement the remaining number of numbers. After that, you have to go back to step 4 and repeat this. And finally, you will get the value of n as 0. You will compare these two and you will find that they are equal. This will definitely happen because you are decrementing n and n is a natural number. So finally, you are going to step 8 because you finished reading and now you are stopping. So now we know how we can read and store a sequence of elements. And with this, we are going to see one more algorithm, which is a very common problem in computer science, which is called the linear search algorithm. And the problem is this: given a sequence S of n elements, for example, say elements of natural numbers. So you are given with a sequence of n elements. Each element is a natural number. And you are also given with another natural number, which is called a key. And the problem is to find the index at which key is present in S if it is present. For example, The input will be a sequence of n elements and another value and the number of elements in the sequence. And you have to find, for example, if you read, you have to read the sequence of n elements, the number of elements, say 10 in this case, and also another element possibly in the sequence, which is key. Key is now given as 90. The problem is to see whether 90 is present in this sequence or not. It may or may not be present. If it is present, you have to display the solution as the index at which 90 is present. Otherwise, you have to say key is not present in the sequence. So, how will you solve this problem? What you can do is, you can use an index which goes from 0 to n minus 1. You initialize it to 0, first index. Then what you do, you see what element is present at 0. You have to see whether the element present at 0 is same as the required value. Okay, this should be a square bracket, sorry for that. If it is same as this, then what you can do? You can print. But in this case, it is 10. Suppose it is 10. You are searching for 90. So, these are not matching. So, what you do? You increment index and go to the next position. Again, you see what is present at that position. In this case, okay, it is 200, which is not 90. So, again, you are not getting a match. You proceed to the next element and gradually you will get into this index. Only 2 more elements are remaining. Till now, you assume that you haven't found key present in this part of the sequence. Now you open it and see what is present at this index. You opening it, yeah, you are lucky now. You found 90 present at index n minus 2. So what you can do is, you at this point of time, you just display that 90, which is key, is present at index n minus 2, and you can stop your algorithm. In the worst case, you will go up to n minus 1, you will not find 90 in the sequence, and finally when it becomes n, you can say that key is not present in the sequence. Now we can try to write this as an algorithm. First step is start, then read the sequence, the number of elements and the key into S, N and key respectively. We know an algorithm for reading a sequence. That is what we discussed just before this problem. Use that algorithm, read it into a sequence and also the number of elements into N and the required key. So you read all the 3. After that, if you remember, we initialize the index into 0 and compare the number in n and index. See, index will vary from 0 to n minus 1. When it becomes n, you can stop. Okay. When index becomes n, you can go to a later step. If it happens, you can see that then the element is not present. Anyway, suppose you have not reached n, index is less than n, what you do? What we devised was, we have to open what is present at index. You compare the element at index and key. And if they are equal, we found a matching and display that key is present at index and you can stop. You will go to step 8, which will be stop. Okay, if you find a matching, you will jump into the stop statement. Otherwise, you will come into step 6. That means these are not matching. Then what we did, we have to increment index and repeat. Go to step 4. And eventually, you will come into a situation where index is becoming n. They are equal. That means key is not present from index 0 to n minus 1. And hence the sequence is not containing the key. That is the situation when you come to 7. So you can display the solution as key is not present in the sequence. And that's it. And in between, if you find the element in the sequence, you will get this match, and you are displaying that it is present at that particular index, and you are going to the stop statement of the algorithm. So that's the algorithm for linear search. So today we have seen three different algorithms. One for finding the largest of n numbers. Then we show what is a sequence of finite elements, finite sequence of elements. Then we have used that sequence to read and store n elements at a time. And after that, we have used the sequence to implement the linear searching algorithm. And if you want, you can perform the linear search even without using a sequence. And on the fly processing is possible, but we have seen an algorithm which uses a sequence for storing the set of elements. Thank you.